Hi-ho, hi-ho, off to the fungeon we go. Well, let's talk a little bit about what we've witnessed. Amira's little tale. She tries to turn Yasmin against her friends. So that becomes the fight for the most recent day. However, after her friends beat her little team up, they of course apologize and forgive her, which of course just continues to infuriate Amira, that little wench. You would think that, hey, there's going to be some way, kind of like with Tyrus, that you'd be happy you could get out of your frickin' problem, but I guess not. She's just more wanting to sow destruction and pain and misery to just about everybody and everywhere that she can. And she's done it for now the last 3 days. She 2 days ago tried with giving him his sword, but instead having him going straight to the mouth of a beast. Today taking Yasmin, turning her, making her think that everybody else is jealous. Wonder if she's gonna try something on Ziri for the Monday into Tuesday edition of the fight. You know what? I don't think we want to see tons of battles. Let's just get it done. We'll do a few little recaps, whatever else needs to be done. If you haven't seen them yet, during part 3 last night, during Spooky Matter, part 2, had opened a bunch of the Strongford quiz bags over on the From Day 1 server. Most of those prizes were rather chintzy. About the only thing there that had any decent significance at all was the occasional chance to pull one of the blue energy bottles. Whoa, now that's a huge drop off on the power. You can have all of that. And just in case you did not catch it and haven't been paying attention, let me go ahead and play a little bit of these spooky ghost stories that were coming in part 3. This is what we air normally as background audio during the overnight sessions of From Day 1. From our bell of October 31st, Ghost Stories via Spooky Matter.
The plant, and I moved back there in 2005, so it had sold 7 or 8 times between then, so I don't know. Right. Very strange story.
All right, thank you very much, my friend. Listen, second one in a row of, how can I put this, things being moved without human interaction, or things being moved by the spirit. A vehicle started, a horn that goes, probably on the same vehicle, and now the real impossibility. I'm not sure I'd move into a house like that if something like that happened. I mean, after all, if anybody had moved that 9-drawer dresser up to the door and blocked it, they would then have to still be in that room unless they went sailing through a window. And he said his son was still outside. So that means something that we don't understand moved that thing. And I guess the message would be, not this room. And obviously Mom understood that message because she did not allow the daughter in there. Jason in Louisiana, hi there, and thank you for coming on the air.
Hello, Art. Mega Roswell.
Thank you. You have a ghost story for us, I take it?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
This is a story about when my wife and I were newlyweds, and as newlyweds kind of do around that time, they'll go visit their parents, once a week or so. And my wife said she was going to go visit her mother. And I said, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and just stay home. I'm in my pajamas. And about 40 minutes later, she came back and she said, you're not going to believe what happened to me on the ride home. And being the foolish young husband, I said, that sounds great, honey, but let me go ahead and just finish up this video game that I'm playing right now. And so that frustrated her.
You're already like a husband. You're already like a husband of about 10 years. Not a newlywed. A newlywed jumps up and...
I was in hot water.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So she was a little frustrated, and it wasn't until the next day that I was able to get her to tell me what happened. Apparently, on the ride home, she had just left her mom's home, and she got the feeling that you get when you're being watched. And she looked off to her left, and she saw the classic shadow figure staring at her. And
no, excuse me. This was when she was driving?
Yes, sir.
And this shadow person or whatever was moving by itself and keeping pace?
No, it was standing behind a sapling, which she thought she saw a tree out of the corner of her eye. When she looked, there was a sapling, and the shadow figure was behind it, standing behind it. And as she drove past, its head followed her. She got the chills, and she picked up, she sped up a little bit down the neighborhood. And as she made her way to the end of the neighborhood, the lights, starting where the creature was, started going out one at a time until it reached her. And once the lights reached her, she stopped. And that classic fight or flight kicked in, and she got mad. She was angry. She was scared, but she was angry. So she threw it in reverse, and she rushed back to the point where the creature was, and nothing was there. It was just a sapling, and she had a cold sweat, and she was just sitting there, and the car was idling, and all the lights turned on at once. And
you sir have a wife with cojones. Let me tell you, I would not have. Yeah, that's right. I would not have gone back. There's no way I would have gone back. So
it gave me goosebumps the first time. She is a tough cookie. I'm not afraid to go out in public. She's got my back.
All right, my friend. Thank you for the story. No, thank you. I guess, insert myself into the stories as I hear them, and it's kind of like, what would I do? It would be bad enough. You see the shadow being behind the tree. You see the head pop up, and the head follows you, and then the lights start going out. Would I go back? No. I'm being honest with you. No. I would not go back. So, big cojones. Down to Texas, and Chris. Hey, Chris.
Roswell, it's Mr. Bell.
Thank you, sir.
I'm glad to finally get in to talk to you. Since the first time I heard you, you're talking to Mel Waters.
Mel's Hole.
Yes, I've been a fan ever since.
The story goes that Mel sold his hole to he sold his hole to the government and moved to Australia, where he's living presumably happily ever after, but I'd sure love to talk to Mel. Anyway, proceed.
Yes, sir. 25 years ago, I was a brand new Border Patrol agent. We had more trainees than journeymen, So they would stick 2 trainees together and say, go do your job. And usual shift, there might be 4 people working. So we had 2 guys upriver, myself and my partner downriver. Very little experience between the 2 of us.
What would you, see, I hate this, but I have to know some things.
Yes, sir.
As a Border Patrol agent, you said with very little training. So it's like they send you to, when you say river, the Rio Grande?
Yes, sir. Not
They send you down to the Rio Grande and they say, watch?
It was very little experience in that training. I may have misspoke there.
Okay.
We had just gotten from the academy, but neither of us had a half a year in yet.
Okay.
So they send us down. They tell us to go fight crime midnight. So we're driving down the river looking for anything that we could see that didn't look right, not really knowing what we were doing, but trying to get on the job experience. We see a bonfire out on this hill that we used to refer to as the party house. It was, at the time, it was out of town quite a ways, but now it's almost in town. And we drove towards it thinking, well, maybe somebody's down there, maybe some aliens, maybe some smuggling.
Right.
And at the time, we had switches that we could throw that would turn all the lights off in the vehicle. So if you hit the brakes or the backup light, nothing would come on. It wouldn't show where the vehicle was.
Sure.
So we turn out all the lights. We're driving down this long dirt road towards the river. And as we come around the corner, there's about 15 or 20 people standing in a huge circle around a giant bonfire. They're all wearing brown full-length robes. They got their hands up in the air like they're doing some kind of religious ceremony.
Ritual.
Yes. I saw a movie called Race with the Devil with Peter Fonda and Warren Oates several years before this, and that movie came to mind. I looked at these people just in time to see 2 of them turn towards us and start running at us in a, not an aggressive manner, but like we didn't have any business in their little ritual.
Whoa, so you didn't.
Like,
It was on, this is on the U.S. side of the border, of course, right?
yes, sir. Yes, about
Okay,
2 o'clock in the morning.
Gotcha. And 2 of them start running toward you. And you were, I'm sure, 2 armed.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay.
But they were armed in Race with the Devil, too.
Oh.
Well,
so what do you 2 armed guys do?
I looked at my partner, he looked at me, I threw it in reverse, and I hit the gas. I said, I don't see any immigration violation happening here. I went backwards with no lights. I made a 90-degree turn, and I didn't slow down until I hit the highway.
I'm with you all the way.
Once we get to the highway,
yes.
we're trying to decide what to do because our nearest backup is a good 20, 30 minutes away.
Right.
There's one sheriff's deputy, and he's way the heck out of town.
Right.
So who would you report this to? They didn't cover this at the academy.
No. Local law enforcement? I don't know.
Well, we're out of town. We were in the county, and like I said, there was one deputy working, and he was way the heck out of town. And we discussed it the rest of the night. Who should we report this to? And we could not come to a conclusion. So
nor were they necessarily breaking the law, really.
None that I could see.
Similar to God's law.
Well, we decided that we just weren't going to tell anybody, and we're going to try and pretend like it never happened. And
I don't blame you at all.
We managed to keep our mouths shut for about a good 20 years. Well, finally, about 3 or 4 years ago, I was invited to tell my story on the other show. And unfortunately, the night that they called the house for me to talk, I had a schedule change and I had to work that night.
So you never got to tell the story?
Not to them, but it really upset me because I've listened to that show, like I said, ever since I was whole. So a couple of weeks go by and I'm teaching a class. And I mentioned to the class that I'd almost made it on the radio. And I told them this story about what had happened to me and my partner and how it would have been neat to tell people I'd managed to tell my story to the entire United States and parts of the planet. And one of the students said, hey, about a couple of years ago, I was driving around down by the river, and I came across the exact same situation.
Oh?
Yeah, so apparently whoever these people are, they're still out there. They're still doing their little ritual, and I have no idea who they are or what they're doing.
And this person, this student, what did he do?
Exact same thing.
As you did. And as I would have done as well. I really, really appreciate your telling this story on Real Radio.
It was an exciting night.
Thank you, my friend, and take care. Glad you came by tonight. The Spooky Matter. I just love stories like this. What do you suppose that was? Probably not ghosts. But also, on the other hand, probably not a group of people that you would want to upset, armed or not. Ben in California. Hi, Ben.
Hey, is this me?
It is you, Ben.
Hey, Roswell.
Thank you.
I've actually called in and told you my ghost stories before, but I've got one more story I haven't told you.
You've told me ghost stories before?
I called in on the open lines night. I was the guy that had been physically assaulted by a ghost.
Okay.
But I've got one story that I don't know if it's ghost or not, but it definitely qualifies as spooky.
All right.
I'm living in eastern Kentucky, growing up on this haunted hill.
Mm-hmm.
And besides the neighborhood there is a dirt road. It's a gas road. There's gas wells out there. And this is where we rode our dirt bikes and four-wheelers and everything like that.
Right.
So nobody ever walks out there, but I didn't have any gas for my dirt bike one day, so I decided to take a walk out there. I'm about 15 years old. I'm a freshman in high school. And I'm walking back. I've got my machete on my side. I'm looking for snakes and whatnot, looking for deer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking around, and then suddenly there's two men in front of me. And this is a straight stretch of, I would say, 200-300 yards. And suddenly they're about 20 feet in front of me. So I tell them, well, you scared the you-know-what out of me. And one of the men says, well, I'm sorry. And they walk up to me. And they asked me questions like, how did you get out here? And I told them, well, I just live half a mile from here. And they say, they're just very confused. They say, how did you get past the gate?
Mm-hmm.
And I told them, there is no gate. There used to be a gate there, but it had been ripped out a couple of years ago.
Right.
And keep in mind, this is the only entrance for miles. This road runs for miles and miles, and a few miles the other way, there's another entrance, and it doesn't have a gate either. So anyway, that's a really weird question. And the direction they were coming from the direction of my house, and there's only one way in and one way out. And I'm thinking they should know there's not a gate there. So anyway, the whole time I'm talking to them, I'm really creeped out. I'm really freaked out. They're staring directly at my eyes, and they're not looking anywhere else. I'm motioning to my house. I say I'm out here with my machete. I'm looking for snakes. They don't look at my machete. They're both still fixed on my eyes.
They're not even concerned with your machete? I mean, when somebody says, I'm out here with my machete, that gets somebody's attention. You would think you'd get down. Ooh, big knife.
Yeah, you would think so. And be slightly interested. But only one of the men's talking to me, but both of them are looking directly in my eyes.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I'm freaked out. So where I gotta go? Because I never really see anybody out there unless they're riding a motorcycle or a dirt bike or a four-wheeler. But I start walking back towards my house. We cross paths. And, of course, I'm scared, nervous. And within a few feet, I take a few steps, and I turn around. They're not there.
As in disappeared.
As in they are gone.
Well, maybe they vanished back into a time when there was a gate.
Yeah. Say that gate hadn't been there in a couple of years, and I don't really know what that was about. But I start walking fast. I'm really nervous now. My heart's racing. I'm panting, and I'm walking fast. And I turn back. They're still not there. There's nowhere for them to hide, but they're not there. So I'm convinced that something bad happened. So I'm running back to my house, and I reach the road again, and there's not a work truck there. There's nothing there. So I make it home. I run to the house. I slam the door, so lock the door, tell my mom somebody's coming to kill me. 2 men are trying to kill me. And sat there freaked out for the rest of the day. So say I didn't tell that story because I didn't know if it's a ghost story or not, but
well, it's yeah, it is. All right, thank you very much. I'm not sure what to call that story, but these odd things do happen.
And that
and I understand. Sometimes you don't.
And that is just a small sampling of what we've been airing over the overnight episodes here of From Day One. And if you like what you hear, of course, you can go check out last night and the night before's. And of course, tonight on Art Bell Overnight will be the final section of Spooky Stories to conclude out that particular episode. In the meantime, this will bring a close to the first of our 3 episodes of the day. Of course, Sovereign Citizens, Karens, and all of them in the evening. And of course, then Art Bell in the overnight. Like, share, and subscribe. Get us those red boxes so we can get them to you at 50,000 views of our videos. And 1,000 subscribers so Google, YouTube puts us on the map and actually gets us in the algorithm. Till later tonight for those Substits and Karens, and of course Art Bell in our overnight slot. Be kind to one another, like, share, and subscribe, and release the Kraken as we march along here from Day One. Have a great afternoon. We'll see you tonight.